Good evening, Southeastern. This is Mrs. Tolles. I want to give you a bedtime story. Before She Was Harriet. My book is from Lisa Klein Ransom by James Ransom. I really got to read this story just because I'm really intrigued by the whole story of slavery. And this book kind of sums it up because Harriet Tubman is a fan of mine. Here we go. Here she sits, an old one, tired and worn, her stiff legs, her back achy. But before wrinkles formed, her eyes failed. Before she reached her twilight years, she could walk for miles and see clearly under a sky lit only with stars. Before she was an old woman, she was a suffragette. Her voice for women who had none in marriages, in courts, in voting booths, before her voice became soft and raspy, as loud and angry, rising above injustice. Before she was a suffragette, she was General Tubman, rising out of the fog, armed with courage, strong in the face of rebels and planters and overseers as they watched fields burn and bridges fall. And 700 slaves stopped chopping and started running to a woman who ferried them to freedom on the Cambrai River, turned River Jordan. Before she was General Tubman, she was Union spy, carrying secrets across battlefields to soldiers fighting in the Civil War for President Lincoln to end slavery. Before she was Union spy, she was a nurse, caring for those hit with bullets and hatred and fear, tending to them with bandages and words in the bloodiest dirt of Southern soil. Before she was nurse, she was Aunt Harriet, daughter of Ben and Rit, who helped her parents flee their master and find their way through woods and streams to the safety of Canada and a new home in the north. And before she was Aunt Harriet, she was Moses, a conductor on the Underground Railroad with no trains, no tracks, just passengers traveling to freedom, up north, through swamps, past slave catchers, across rivers, and under the cover of night. Seeking the promised land for her people, led by dreams and God and faith, a wisp of a woman with the revenge of a lion. Before she was Moses, she was Minty of Maryland, of one slave owner and then another who worked her, punished her with lashes, broke her back, but not her spirit. Before she was Minty, she was Araminta, a young girl taught by her father to read the woods and the stars at night, readying her for the day. She'd leave behind slavery along with her name and pick a new one, Harriet. And remember the days as a suffragist, a general, and a spy, and a nurse, as Harriet, Aunt Harriet, as Moses and a conductor, as Minty, as Araminta, who dreamed of living long enough to one day be old, stiff, and achy, tired and worn and wrinkled and free. That's my story of Harriet Tubman before she was free.